And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today, taking a look at the news, and sharing a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And of course, if you are listening somewhere else and you would like to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Coffee Talk and Prepper University on YouTube. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta Monday through Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Friday at noon. Naturally, as always, I do try to read through as many of the comments as I can for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see. So I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that have chimed in thus far on the live portion. I see Helter is with us. Jane is here. Dragon. Donna Beaver, who says, remember to thumbs up, like, and share. Please do. Tuck is here. Monkey, H12. Cyberjack Sr. Hope everybody is doing well today. I have one feline today. One. And that is Miss Kitty down here. Hi, Miss Kitty. She's the only one in the room. You may or may not see her because she's Miss Kitty and she's just ornery. And Brian has joined us. And Monkey says, did you see the WHO declared a global health emergency over monkeypox? You know what that means, the beer virus 2.0. I had not yet heard that. So we'll see what happens. I haven't heard that yet. Haven't heard it yet. But there's plenty of bad news to go around. Trust me. Plenty of bad news to go around. And we will start off with Newsweek with the worst possible news. Worst possible news if you happen to be a U.S. citizen anyways. Because according to them, Donald Trump doesn't stand a chance. It says Donald Trump's chances are bleak as Kamala Harris now is more trusted on the economy. How? How is she more trusted on the economy? Can someone explain this to me? Can someone explain this to me? What did she do? What changed? I feel like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers. You know what I mean? Can someone explain this to me? I mean, throw me a freaking bone, eh? Can someone help me out with this? I don't get it. What has she done for the economy? Say Donald Trump's chances of winning the election in November look bleak after a new poll showed more Americans trust Kamala Harris with the economy, according to Newsweek. The poll conducted for the Financial Times and the University of Michigan Ross School of Business between August 1st and 5th found that 42% of Americans trusted Harris more to handle the economy, regardless of their opinion of the candidate and how they'd vote for president. By comparison, 41% believed Trump could handle the country's economy better. The same shared report in polls conducted in July, June, and April and May, the number briefly rose to 43%. First of all, 42% is not a majority. Second of all, they're basing this opinion, I'll call this an opinion piece, off of a poll. And you know what that means. I want to see the poll data. While Trump's numbers haven't changed, the Republican nominee has lost the advantage he held over Biden when the incumbent president was running for re-election. In the April, May, and July polls, only 35% of Americans said they had more faith in Biden, the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, to handle the U.S. economy better. In the June poll, the share was slightly bumped to 37%. Where is your poll data? I want to see it. And I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm not seeing their poll data. I'm not seeing their poll data, so I'm going to try to find it. I'm going to try to find it here really quickly because I do not trust any of that. And I hate when they do this kind of stuff. New poll conducted by the Financial Times, and they don't give you a link for it. They don't give you a link. And that's something that you can't trust, is when they do things like this. I don't trust polls. And I don't know if I can find it. Let me look. If I can find it, I'll share it. If I can find it, I will share it. Because sometimes it's tough to track down. But the fact that, again, you're relying on a poll that probably interviewed practically nobody, and that they cherry-picked the people. They cherry-picked the people. I'm not finding the data. I see Raccoon has joined us. Monkey says Kamala is magically more talented on fixing things now. What a joke. Indeed. Indeed. That makes no sense to me. Nobody, suddenly she's like, she's the golden girl. Suddenly that she's the golden girl. I found it. I found the polling data. So I'm going to share it with you. I found the Financial Times' polling data. So I'm going to pull up this graph. And remember, it said Americans, okay? That, what is this? 41% of Americans trust Kamala Harris over Trump, which is still not a bump. It's still less than 41% is not greater than 50. It says here, voters trust Harris significantly more with the economy than Biden. There's your title. Again, this is the Financial Times, www.ft.com. Trump is the red. Harris is, Biden is the serrated blue line. And then Harris is the solid blue line. And here's the source data. A poll of 1,000 registered voters conducted from February through August. So 1,000 people again, and this is why polls can never be trusted, and why I hate it when news stories run with articles like this, because people read the title and they're too lazy to do the research. They read the title and then they move on. And that's foolish. And this is why 1,000 people that their system cherry-picked. 1,000 people do not represent the more than 100 million registered voters in the United States. You see what I mean? Who is that? There's a cat climbing up my back. Helter says, for the love of God, why? What has she ever done, said, or indicated that she knows a single thing about the economy? Absolutely nothing. She has done nothing. She has done absolutely nothing. But this is why you should always go back and do the research and look at the polling data. And this is also why you need a cat. Come here. Monkey, everybody. There's Monkey. Hi, buddy. He's looking at the screen. That's why he keeps turning his head so hard, because the screen is to my left. Yeah, there's Monkey. Hey, buddy. Coming to say hello to me? Keep me company? Miss Kitty left the room. And Monkey says, yeah, anything with polls are instantly ignored, even if it's in Trump's favor. And if you're being discerning, you should ignore it. I mean, it's interesting to look at. And if it's something that I would like to be true, it's, I would love to be able to look at polling data that fits in with my narrative and say, yeah, see, but you can't rely on it. You can't rely on it. Polls are hired to get a specific result. And they're not honest representations. I mean, really, if anybody wants to bother to do the math, how many registered voters do you think there are in the United States? or people at least of voting age that are citizens, more than 150, maybe 200 million. So 1,000 people are supposed to represent, just off the top of my head, 200 million people. Really? How far down below zero is that percentage? 0.0000, and God knows. Because I don't feel like doing the math right now. Monkey says it's like 2016 again with Hillary. Exactly. Never trust polling data. But again, like I said, people are ignorant and they're lazy, and they will look at Newsweek and they will read the title of that. Wow, look at Harris is pulling out ahead of Trump, and they don't read the article. There was no link from Newsweek. They cited where they got the data from, but they did not give you a link so you could go check it out yourself. I had to find it. I had to go find it. H12 says I take everything with a grain of salt. You should. And Dragon says Biden Harris literally been spending months telling how great things are, which has been lies, yet people trust these bozos more for some reason. They've been told to, and they believe it. Case in point. Sorry, we did not lose our third squad member, because we've lost two, although they lost also to Democratic candidates. So more of the same. Omar isn't going anywhere. There she is. There she is, real happy with herself, because guess what? She won. The Independent, Ilhan Omar, easily sails to victory in Minnesota primary ahead of squad members Bowman and Bush ousted from Congress. And she's useless. She's useless. But unfortunately, most people don't vote because they're tired of feeling like they're being forced to choose between the lesser of two evils. And then the people who do vote, they seem to love punishment. Or they want to punish everyone else because they keep voting for people that are useless. This woman has not helped Minnesota. What has she done for Minnesota? What has she done except for stir up mess and get a lot of negative attention on social media? Article reads, Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, an inaugural member of the progressive, quote, squad in the House of Representatives, easily beat back a primary challenger on Tuesday after two of her fellow left-wing members lost their seats in recent weeks. Omar, a third-term congresswoman of Somali American heritage. She is not American. She has made that very clear many times. I am Somali's daughter, and I will stand with them first. Has made history in Congress as the first elected member to wear a religious headscarf on the chamber floor. Please. That's her claim to fame. She's the first elected member of Congress to wear a religious headscarf on the chamber floor. That's history. She's made history in Congress. I'm going to read it again. Omar has made history in Congress because she's the first elected member to wear a religious headscarf on the chamber floor. Well, shit. Stop the presses. Quit printing the history books. We need to include this. Forget the first man on the moon. Forget the shot heard around the world. Forget the invention of the electric light bulb. Damn it, Omar wore a scarf. Holy crap. Let me catch up a couple of comments here really quickly. Monkey says, according to the Federal Registry, yes, it's a government website. In 2021, there are 258 million people over the age of 18. Okay, well, I said 200 off the top of my head. But yeah, that number would be astronomical. Jane says, how did anyone hear the veteran hospitals? Has anyone heard the veteran hospital laying off 82,000 staff by next year? I did not hear that. Raccoon suggests Omar is a terrorist. And Jane says, who is Omar? Well, yeah, you can easily find that. She's one of the very outspoken, very attached to negative attention, really awful representative. And Jane says she's from Kenya. When did that happen, that immigrants can be part of the government? Well, they can't run for president, but if they become American citizens, they can run for office. Like, Schwarzenegger was once a governor. And Jane says, who cares about her scarf? Nobody. Oh, hello, monkey. What's wrong, dear? Ali. And Dragon says Minnesota's like the Midwest version of California, unfortunately. Hi. What's the matter, buddy? What's the matter, monkey? You trying to find... He likes to get under my beard. And Chillin' Dave has joined us. Monkey likes to get under my beard, and that's probably... Whoa, that's probably what he's trying to do. That's probably what he's trying to do. I often wake up in the middle of the night with him licking my mouth. Yeah, here we go. Hi. It's all right, Monkey. I'm not mad at you at all. And Jane says, Monkey is so cute. She likes your beard. Well, it's a male, actually. But yeah, he really likes the beard for some reason. And Jericho says he's grown since you found him. Yes, he has. He's gotten pretty big, actually. And Helter says her original country would never let any American get voted into their system of government. No, they would not. But yeah, she won again. She won her third term. She's useless. I don't know that she's done anything. That's her claim to fame, wearing a freaking scarf. Who gives a damn? But I suppose that's supposed to be stunning and brave, and we should give her a medal. We should give her a medal for being stunning and brave. What? A medal for being stunning and brave because she wore a scarf. No one told her she couldn't. Who said, bitch, you can't wear that scarf here? That never happened. No one's going to do that. No one is going to do that. As long as she's appropriately dressed, no one cares if she has a scarf on. That's her only claim to fame. And she's coming into her third term. And again, nobody votes. And then she has, they all have crappy opponents that are Democrats anyways. It's a failure system. A failure system. Total failure system. Now we're going to rehash this one more time because more has come out of it. And I know it's a big distraction, but it is still interesting. And that is everybody's famous rap star, Ray Gun. And this is actually off of change.org. Hold Ray Gun, Rachel Gunn, and Anna Mears accountable for unethical conduct in the Olympics. This is a petition against her and against the Olympics. Because I know a lot of people have sat there and said, and we've talked about it a couple of times over the last few days, how the hell did she get in there? And why did she do what she did? She's not a great breakdancer. And she has a PhD in, like, God, what is it? Social sciences, or I can't remember. It's some bullshit, stupid thing. Brian says, even if people commented on her scarf, there's the First Amendment, or maybe not. Well, only First Amendment for everyone but them. But it's like, how did she get in? She can breakdance a little bit. She's better than what she did at the performance. Her presence there basically robbed someone else of an opportunity. Robbed of an opportunity, unfortunately. Hi, Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty's back in the room. Robbed of an opportunity. And then she says that she did this interpretive dance BS. Okay? Did this interpretive dance BS because she saw the competition and knew she didn't have a chance. So you threw it. You threw the opportunity, which is cowardly. You could at least do your best and say, hey, man, I threw it out there. I knew I wasn't going to make it, but I didn't want to chicken out. I could have respected that. But more has been revealed here now. Okay? I wonder if it says what her degree is here, because it's a degree in some kind of bullshit. some stupid thing. But here's the thing, all right? And this is why there is now a petition. The petition is for nepotism, essentially. The Olympic Committee, they didn't know what to do with breakdancers, okay? Hi. They didn't know. All right, monkey. They didn't know what to do with breakdancers. They really didn't. So they hired an organization to find breakdancers for them. But the organization that they hired was like a ballroom dancing kind of a setup. And they didn't know what to do either. So they reached out to a breakdancing organization. Okay. Here's where the petition comes in. You want to guess who the chairman on that breakdancing organization is? And Dragon's got it. Her husband was a judge. She and him run the committee. That's right. The organization, that the ballroom dancing company that was hired by the Olympics, is chaired by her husband, and she's also part of it. That's how she got qualified. That's how she got qualified. It's disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. Here it is. Her PhD is cultural studies. Cultural studies. I pulled it up here. I was looking for it. Academic career. Here it is. Street dance. Here's her degree qualifications: street dance, hip hop, and youth culture, and gender policies. Let me pull up the academic career so that you can see what I'm looking at. But that is absolutely disgraceful. That's nepotism. She never should have been at the Olympics. It shouldn't have been allowed, and the Olympic Committee should have caught it. There it is. A lecturer. Now, they said that she was a professor. That is a lie. Here it is. Gunn is a lecturer at Macquarie University Faculty of Arts in the Department of Media, Communications, Creative Arts, Language, and Literature. So she gives speeches on occasion. Let's just call it what it is. Her research focusing on breaking, street dance, hip hop, youth culture, and gender and politics. She's a member of the Macquarie University Performance and Expertise Research Center. Oh, God. And Samuel Free is her husband, and he's the one that heads that community. Chillin says PhD in what? Kitty, get out of my teacup, please. Come here. Come here, dear. No tea for you. It's not good for you. It's got caffeine in it. PhD in gender, youth culture, and gender politics, with an understudy in, I guess, street dance, hip hop, and youth culture. Total bullshit. Raccoon says, does anyone take college courses that are useful anymore? No! No, they don't. Puck says, France 24 is talking about an Mpox outbreak in Africa. CNN USA next, just in time for the election. I know. Then you can get all those mail-in ballots again. Jericho says, I see degrees and study fields and classes like this in schools and colleges, and this pushes me more to get my kids out of public school. Yes, please get them out of public school, Jericho. Do the best you can. Always homeschool first, and there are many resources. You can find them online in your area. Other homeschoolers and homeschooling agencies will help you, often for free, okay? Just to make sure that there is not another child lost in the public school system. Chillin says, research, as in watching from the sidewalk? Yes. That's technically research. Watching the movie Breakin' is research. Jericho says, I'm glad I never wasted my time or money on college. They were begging me to go to college, but I told my teachers to stop bothering me about it. I almost got suspended for speaking out. I was kicked out of the Gear Up program for not participating. I did go to college, and I think it was a total waste of time. Total waste of time. But now, like I had pointed out, there is a petition that all of this has been exposed as more people have looked into what's been going on with her and examining, because that's the question. How the hell did this person get on the Olympics? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Now, here's your answer. Nepotism. Her husband shooed her in. Because even when I showed her qualifying match from the Oceania Championships in 2023, her opponent was better than she was. And Zane has joined us. And Puck says, I can't believe breakdancing is still a thing. I'd trade the pet rock fad for that one. I see JJ has also joined us as well. What's wrong, Miss Kitty? Miss Kitty, you look so sad. She probably is. She was pretty badly abused. And that's why I just kind of let her do whatever, She's afraid of being touched. She'll sit in my lap, or like she likes to sleep next to my arm. She likes to snuggle up on my arm. She gets scared of being touched. She's got a deformed leg because it was broken so badly. She's got burn marks on her belly. She's been through a lot. God only knows. I wish I could look into their minds and see what happened to them sometimes. And Zane says, nepotism makes the world go round. Yeah, unfortunately, it sure does seem that way, doesn't it? Sure does seem that way. So does DEI, apparently. So does DEI. As we jump into the next one. Oh, Puck, I'll put that up, but I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. Oh, no. No. But yeah, a lot of people have been investigating that intently because they looked at her. And like I said, she claims now that she did the interpretive dance because she knew she wasn't going to beat anybody after seeing them practicing. And it's like, well, bitch, you're there. You may as well do your best. Seriously. I mean, so that's the ultimate trolling of the Olympics. And she'll probably get famous for it now. Her memes are famous. Her memes are famous. But the Telegraph here, as we jumped into the Telegraph, and Jane says, a disabled cat, so sad I had book one time gave details on animal sex lives. But yeah, she's one of, don't you try to jump up there. Come here. Come back here. She's handicapped. Granny Smith is handicapped. Because of how she had a severe broken elbow that apparently had been broken for a long time and healed in the wild on its own. So she walks with a pretty prominent limp. And technically so is Hobo, because Hobo doesn't have teeth. And that's a major disadvantage when you're talking about cats. But on to the Telegraph here. Ultimate DEI. Apparently white police officers lost out on job after order to pick Asian candidate. So 3 white police officers have won a discrimination case after an employment judge ruled that they were passed over for promotion because of their race. And as you can see, this is obviously in the UK. Detective Inspector Philip Turner Robinson, Inspector Graham Horton, and Custody Inspector Kirsten Bishop claimed that Thames Valley Police, if I'm pronouncing Thames, I've heard it pronounced a few different ways, Valley Police directly discriminated against them in a bid to improve diversity of its senior staff. The tribunal heard that a superintendent from the force was told to make it happen by appointing an Asian sergeant to the rank of detective inspector. This was despite warnings about the legal risks of not holding a competitive process, because naturally everything should be based on merit. Human beings are the only ones who want to circumvent merit. The only creatures on the planet that want to circumvent merit as a criteria for going forward. The 3 experienced officers brought employment tribunal proceedings against the force, claiming to have been disadvantaged because of their race, described by the tribunal as white and British. They have been working with Thames Valley Police, which covers the counties of Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, and Oxfordshire, for between 19 and 26 years. When they were blocked from applying for the role, a tribunal heard. So they weren't even allowed to apply. In August of 2022, plans were discussed for a job advert for a detective inspector in the Forced Priority Crime Team at Aylesbury. The hearing was told. Having been made aware of the vacancy, Mr. Turner Robinson expressed his interest on the same day the Norwich Tribunal heard. So, but the following month, Superintendent Emma Bailey made the decision to move Sergeant Sidhu, whose forename was not provided, in the role without undertaking any competitive process or advertising the vacancy to staff. The tribunal was told. That's dirty. That is dirty. Zane says the lady will be memed for time and memories. Yeah, she's going to breakdance lady, and the second placeholder in the shooting competition is getting the crap memed out of him too. Jane says that's horrible about the felines' lives. Good, they found you and your family. We try to take care of them. We try our best. Puck says the Brits are going to extradite Americans for mean tweets and memes. Yeah, they're trying to. And Jane says, yes, merit and gained experience does count when doing a job. How much does it cost to expedite some poor schlep who posted a meme? How much is that going to cost to fly them to England and back at the taxpayer's expense because of a bad tweet or an angry meme? Seriously, that makes no damn sense. And Helter says certain agencies have lowered the physical fitness standards for women and minorities just to get them to pass. It's not a good thing when they're cutting training requirements to fill a quota. And again, I've brought that up several times. That started in the United States with the National Forestry Service. Because I remember seeing a documentary about it in like the late 80s or early 90s on like 60 Minutes or something. They covered it. Not a documentary, but, you know, a news story about it, a prolonged story, that the people in the Forestry Service were complaining about it because they wanted diversity. They wanted females because there hardly were any. And the men in there were like, you know, it's actually kind of dangerous out here. It's actually kind of dangerous out here, especially if you come across poachers. You could get killed, you know, and you've got all these women who they don't qualify, and you lowered the standards to give them the job. You lowered the standards to give them the job, and they were afraid. And that was decades ago. Monkey says that guy got the second in the shooting is getting branded more of a badass rather than made fun of. That's true. Because he just kind of walked in and casually did it, no equipment or anything, and you got all these other people with this fancy gear. Jane says, "Oh, that's a side conversation. Let me catch up here. You're in my teacup again. Get off the keyboard." Monkey says the guy is very good too. Won gold in the last Olympics, if I recall. And Dilo has joined us. And Nature Nerd says Bangladesh just had massive riots from the woke government making quotas on who got jobs or not. It's going to come to a head sooner or later. There's only so much people can take. There's only so much people can take. And here you see that it is a problem, even by their own laws. They were discriminated against for being Caucasian and being natives of Britain, basically. And that's just ridiculous. That shouldn't happen. Kitty! Come on, dear. Come off of there, please. And Jane says, I heard now got Paralympics happening or for the disabled to compete in swimming or basketball. I don't know what's going on at the Paralympics. I barely pay attention to the Olympics anyways. I could care less, honestly. I could really care less. But a lot happened this year that was really negative. No food for the athletes, no air conditioning for the athletes, and it's like 90, 100 degrees practically. It's in the high 90s. It's muggy, contaminated water, triathletes ending up in the hospital with E. coli, uh, parasite infested fish being fed to athletes, athletes sleeping in the park, rat infestations, terrorist attacks that caused power outages. It's been a disaster. The really bizarre opening ceremony that caused a lot of problems. Paris Olympics, it's going to be a long time before anybody forgets that. It may have really crippled. They lost sponsors. When have you ever heard of the Olympics losing sponsors? It's about as embarrassing as the Munich Olympics for different reasons. Zane said they got knocked offline. Maybe maybe Google's having problems again, because you remember they've had four major global outages in the last 2 weeks. And Los Angeles Magazine article, I thought this was just interesting. Ex-LA law enforcement and former military officers are charged by feds in alleged sham raid. Basically, they pretended to be law enforcement to try to intimidate a wealthy Chinese businessman. So 2 retired Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies conspired with members of the British and Australian military to carry out a terrifying and brazen 2019 raid on the homes of a businessman in Irvine who was threatened, along with his family, with deportation if he didn't sign over a $37 million contract he owned in Chinese chemical company, according to federal prosecutors on Monday. And they're just now getting around to this. According to the federal indictment, the Irvine businessman identified only as victim 1 had an ongoing business dispute with an unidentified co-conspirator, a wealthy female Chinese national, regarding the ownership of their shares in Jiangsu Singor Chem Technology, a China-based rubber chemical manufacturer. The battle dispute led to at least 3 lawsuits in China and 1 in Atlanta, and a red notice issued with Interpol for the man living in Irvine. A system has been increasingly abused in recent years by repressive regimes. Victim 1's red notice by itself did not authorize an arrest of victim 1 in the United States, according to federal prosecutors. So anyways, unnamed female Chinese national hired a group of ex-cops and military to force her adversary's hand. Retired police Stephen Arthur of Canyon County, retired Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department deputy, who now owns a Santa Clara-based process service company, and Glenn Luis Cozart of Upland, a former LASD deputy who owns and operates a San Bernardino County-based investigation and security services company, along with mercenaries from Australia and the United Kingdom, apparently raided this person's house, claimed to be federal agents, and threatened this businessman with deportation and other problems. That is crazy. A Nature Nerd says Mali natives are fighting the Russians to make their own state, and attacked and killed over 80 Wagner troops, making people believe the French were better at protecting the government. Dragon says if they're convicted, nothing's going to happen. Both these guys are going to end up getting their pensions and probably an award. And Zane says, I wouldn't be surprised if after the company was signed over to 3 other people and sealed in a subsidiary by now. Who knows what happened? I just think it's fascinating that fascinating that they got away with this for as long as they did, because this was attempted in 2019. It's just now coming out, I guess. See, quote, there are a lot of people behind this that are less peaceful than us. You don't want anything to happen to your family. Am I right? And the reason that this would even work is because it sounds like things that the government would do. Sounds like things that the government would do. And I just thought that was interesting. I thought it was an interesting story. Helter says, I'm old enough to remember when the police was an upstanding profession with outstanding people. Yeah, that's when you had police, not law enforcement officers. There's a difference. There is a difference. Misleading article of the day. Misleading article of the day. And this is UPI News. It says cigarette smoking hits an 80-year low in the U.S. And Nature Nerd wants to talk about Tim Waltz. We talked about him extensively yesterday. He says Tim Waltz is basically a Chinese communist that works with the CCP since he's gone to China over 30 times, and now he's almost vice president. Yeah. He has visited them more than 30 times. He had his honeymoon in China. His first teaching job was in a school in China. He's lived in China. He has very close connections with them. So according to UPI News, cigarette smoking is an 80-year low. It says cigarette smoking in the United States hits an historic low this year, according to Gallup, which has been monitoring smoking trends for 8 decades. That's 80 years. The latest survey, based on Gallup's annual consumption habits poll conducted in July, shows 11% of the U.S. adults said they smoked cigarettes in the last week. That matches Gallup's other lowest outcome in 2022 and comes close to the 12% smoking trend in 2023. In 1944, when Gallup first questioned Americans about cigarettes, 41% of adults said they had smoked. Smoking peaked in 1954 with 45% of respondents admitting they had recently lit up a cigarette. By the late 80s, the smoking rate had declined, but was still more than 3 times what it is today. In the recent poll, Gallup found fewer people smoke due to perceptions that cigarettes are very harmful. This year's survey showed 79% of Americans view cigarettes as very harmful, while 57% viewed e-cigarettes or vaping in the same way. Medical experts have long warned of the health dangers of smoking, and those educational efforts may be a factor in explaining why cigarette smoking is at an all-time low. That's not true, and I'm going to tell you. Firstly, medical experts in recent years, since about the mid-'80s, have warned about health dangers, and then officially so in the 2000s. Prior to this, medical experts said that smoking did no harm or even encouraged it. Again, that's why my mother used to smoke menthol cigarettes. It was suggested by a doctor. All right? So that was the trend. That's why so many people smoked, because they figured nothing was wrong with it, because the medical profession told them so. Because lobbyists from the tobacco companies made sure that's the direction that research went. Okay? That's why you can't trust lobbyists. You can't trust scientists. And you can't trust politicians. All right? And the reason that fewer people are smoking they may be smoking cigarettes less. They may be smoking cigarettes less, but they are smoking more now than they ever did, because everybody vapes now instead. And man, you want to talk about addicted. They can't put that shit down. You ever watched anybody with a vape pipe? They can't leave the damn thing alone. They play with it constantly. At least with a cigarette, man, it runs out on you. It's got a time limit. And you're lucky if you can smoke half of the damn thing before it burns out. The vape pipe, it doesn't run out. You can hit that thing all day long. Every waking hour, you can hit that thing. And people do grab a puff and blow the smoke somewhere. It's not the same as smoking. More people are vaping than ever smoked. So they may not be smoking cigarettes, but it's as huge of a habit as it ever was. Zane says good cigarettes are terrible for your health. And Nature Nerd says cigarettes are only low because people prefer vaping. There we go. That's what I was just talking about. And pot, which is worse than cigarettes. Hate how the pot smells, carries for blocks and blocks, and you can smell it through your air conditioner. You can. I've been driving on the freeway and smelled it from vehicles that were ahead of me coming in through the intake. And yeah, I smell it all the time, especially going around the Atlanta area. You know, if I go anywhere, go to any store, any shopping mall, anywhere, you can smell that stuff. It's everywhere now. It's not even legal in Georgia yet. Yet. They'll legalize it eventually when they figure out how to tax it properly. Brian says law enforcement officers are robots used by the government to control us and feel helpless to them by having to call them. That's why if a guy shoots a home intruder, he gets in trouble. My theory. It's not. There's a lot of truth to that. It's not just a theory. And Zane says that pot smoke smells terrible. And Puck says, I heard that the term cancer sticks originated in the late 1800s. And Jane says, yep, they're addicted to the vape pipe. And it's more so an oral fixation. Like they can't get it out of their mouth. They're so used to doing that, touching their mouth to it constantly. That's more the addiction than the smoking part. It's more addicting than anything. Hell, suck on a lollipop. Do something else. Shoot. And Monkey says even kids 10 to 12 are addicted to vape because it's easier for them to get the vape pipes than it is to get cigarettes. I mean, back in my day, kids had to steal the cigarettes because Lord knows they weren't buying them. I've talked about that before. That because I worked in retail, I worked in convenience stores in the early 90s and stuff. Nobody tries to come in with a fake ID and buy cigarettes or alcohol, except for law enforcement, except for narcs. And the IDs aren't fake. Again, I've explained this. They would do the 11th hour scenario. They would come in with an ID that they would use recruits, and they would use them in like a narc sting going around to convenience stores and places. And they would be turning like 18 or that night. When they hit midnight, they'd be 21 or whatever and try to buy a beer. You see what I'm saying? To see if they could trick you and basically screw you over. Because you can make a mistake. You're not trying to sell somebody alcohol illegally or cigarettes illegally. So every time I ever saw anybody trying anything, it was typically a narc. And I've never seen anybody use a fake ID. Let me see if I can catch up a couple more comments here. Zane says medical professionals in Canada have recently discovered pot is terrible for your heart. Jane says, what do you think about mushrooms? I think can smoke or eat or get high, right? There are certain mushrooms you can use to get a psychotropic reaction. I've never done anything like that, but I know there is a way to do it. And Monkey says there was a video of a British kid vaping, a vape being taken. The kid was about preteen age, and two older teens smashed the preteen kid's vape. Monkey says telling him vape is horrible for him, and the preteen kid was crying and sounding like a drug addict. Yeah. Nature Nerd says was hanging out with some friends all day, and they were vaping for hours and hours. It's bad to secondhand breath. Makes me cough just being in the room. And that the odors get into everything, just like tobacco. And Loyal is here. He says coin-operated cigarette machines were the loophole. No, they really weren't. I'll disagree with that because the only places, even in the 70s when I was growing up, that you saw a coin-operated vending machine for cigarettes was in like it would be in a bar or a liquor store or someplace like that. It was still a place where an adult would have to go in. It wasn't, they were not like in the street. It wasn't like next to the coffee machine in the hospital. Further back, maybe, like in the 50s and 60s. But by the time the 70s rolled around, they had done away with that. You only saw cigarette machines and like I said, bars and liquor stores and places like that. And Puck says smokers got no one to blame but themselves. And Zane says he's kicked people out of his shop for vaping, and they'd get very aggressive about it. They would get very aggressive. And Gary, catching up the comments here before we move on, Gary Edwards says there's a sucker born every minute. Yeah, P.T. Barnum, a sucker born every minute. That is right. There's a sucker born every minute. As we get ready to jump into a Center Square article here, talking about 9 states. Center Square, 9 states have filed a lawsuit to stop Biden voter registration executive order. You remember the executive order from Biden forcing government agencies to get involved with voter recruitment, which is a violation of the law. And now states are suing over that. It's about damn time, because he signed that executive order like 3 freaking years ago. So 9 states have filed a lawsuit this week to stop President Joe Biden's executive order concerning federal workers and voter registration. The states say that the federal bureaucracy is inserting itself into state electoral systems and the voter registration process without the scrutiny of a public comment period. That is correct. Mississippi, Montana, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and South Dakota. I'm surprised Florida isn't on there. Filed a complaint in the U.S. District Court for the District of Kansas on Tuesday to halt the implementation of the March 7, 2021 executive order. There you go. Biden's order required federal agencies to develop strategies to expand voter registration efforts and to submit plans to the administration within 200 days. And it's a load of crap anyways. It's bad enough that they automatically register you every time you do damn near anything now. And Loyal says that they had them at the far end of their bowling alley and nobody was watching circa 1977. I see. I understand that. But, when I was growing up in Boston, I didn't see those machines unless, somebody brought me, like my mom brings me into a bar and asks if I can use the bathroom. Something like that. That's the only time I ever remember seeing those. And Monkey says there's alcohol vending machines in Japan anybody can get to. Like in High School High, the movie High School High with Jay Sherman. And at the high school, there was a vending machine that would drop a 40 in a paper bag. It's a parody, of course, like Airplane or what was it, Naked Gun. Back to the article. The complaint says that the order would convert the federal bureaucracy into a voter registration organization and turn every interaction between a federal bureaucrat and a member of the public into a voter registration pitch. Quote, that exceeds any authority executive entities have under federal law, violates the Constitution, threatens states' attempt to regulate voter registration, and thus ultimately undermines the voter registration systems set up by the states, according to the complaint. And I agree. It is government overreach. Who's surprised? And Zane says registration makes a good paper trail. It does. For example, in most states now, they automatically register you when you go to the DMV. They don't even tell you. They don't even give you the option. And it is extremely difficult to get off of that registration once you are on. My wife had tried for months. She tried again recently. She thought she was off, but she's not. And from that, they also sell your data because you get crap tons of text messages, emails, and flyers and postcards and letters in your mailbox every time an election cycle comes around because they sold your data to election committees. And primarily the majority of it is Democrat. Actually, I don't remember since moving to Georgia getting any Republican mail or any Republican emails or text messages. They're all Democrat. And you opt out and you opt out and you opt out and they still send you shit. It doesn't stop. Puck says after the election, House Republicans will hold committee hearings about this illegal election law. There you go. Waste more money on more taxpayer money on committees. Gary says there are more village idiots in America than villagers. The more idiots that vote, the better for the left, which caters mostly to idiots. I can accept that. Puck says when Hank Hill visited Japan, he was astonished that there were beer vending machines. And Jane says, yes, this is true. Sold your data. Darn, you are aware of stuff. I try. And Jane's got to go. Oh, Jane's got to go. Oh, too bad. You'll miss Monkey. He's taking a nap behind me on the printer now. So there we have currently, he's right here, taking a little nap. Little tired guy. He wore himself out jumping around on me. But yeah, I mean, they do. They sell your data, and not just to the Democratic Party. They'll sell the data to whoever will buy it. And that's how people get your phone number. That's how people get your email address. That's how people get your mailing address to pester you with their garbage, with stuff I don't care about and don't want to see. And Zane says, this is why we never trust the government. You shouldn't trust your government. You should always have a discerning attitude towards anyone who's trying to make rules for you, especially if they're taking your money and spending it in order to do it. Because we're all forced to pay taxes. You know, I did a meme talking about taxes a couple of weeks back, and somebody responded to the meme. This is on Coffee Talk. Laughing emoji. You still pay taxes? Ha ha ha. And you don't? Where are you that you're not paying taxes, you liar? Everybody's paying taxes. Even homeless people are paying taxes. And I know somebody is going to sit there and say, what? Who the hell? What? How the hell are homeless people paying taxes? Do homeless people still buy things? Do homeless people still buy things? If a homeless person, even if a homeless person makes a single purchase in a year, goes into a McDonald's and buys $1 tea, they're going to pay tax on it. Everybody pay, unless you're a hermit in the woods eating grubs. And I guess Tuck has to go too. See you, Tuck. And Puck says it's nap time at my house. All 4 cats asleep. All 7 of our indoor cats are asleep right now because I don't hear a thing. And that's, of course, not counting the outdoor cats. And Brian, excuse me, Brian made a donation to the channel. Thank you, Brian. Very much appreciated. Again, all the help we can get taking care of these felines. We're currently taking care of 20 and waiting on Halo House so we can get some adoptions going. We did hear from them actually Friday. We heard from them Friday that they might, because the woman who's in charge there had a surgery, that they might be able to get back going again. Nature Nerd says, give a homeless person $20 and they buy something and pay taxes. Pretty much. There's no way you could get around it. They take it directly out of your check. They take it right out of your check. Nothing you can do. If you sell anything, you pay tax. If you buy anything, you pay tax. If you do anything, you pay tax. And Fluke Man, you're late. Where you been, Fluke Man? Gary says cats don't pay taxes. They're smart. They pay taxes by proxy because the people that take care of them have to buy things for them and pay tax on those products. I spent $40 on cat supplies today. This morning. I had to get more food and more litter, and I spent $40 just this morning. So yeah, they pay taxes by proxy. You can't get away from it. What do they say? The only thing sure in life is death and taxes. Death and taxes. Puck says crack is tax-free. That is until they legalize it. And Fluke says oxygen is free for now, unless you're in a country that has carbon tax. You're technically paying for the air that you breathe then. Don't tempt them. Don't tempt them. But with that, I'll go ahead and start wrapping things up. Again, special thanks to Brian for making a donation to the channel. Very much appreciated. You are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find us on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com. There it is if you're looking. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me taking care of cats. There he is, little sweetie, knocked out. He's getting big. He's a big boy. I think I'm gonna have to keep him. I don't want him to be adopted out. I'm gonna have to hold on to Monkey because he's adorable. Plus, he was burned. He was burned in the engine of a car, so I feel bad for him. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. Hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will catch you again